The CEO is barely conscious, stumbling, pupils dilated like she's been hit by a truck. Phones are recording. Everyone thinks she's drunk. Everyone except one man. I watch from across the rooftop terrace as Victoria Sterling, the woman who commands a billion-dollar empire, crashes in real time. Her silver sequin dress catches the party lights as she sways dangerously against the bar, words slurring into incomprehensible mumbles. Corporate executives scatter like startled birds, but their smartphones stay out, capturing every humiliating second for posterity. This isn't alcohol poisoning. Those symptoms, the severely dilated pupils despite the bright lights, the grayish complexion, the way she's desperately clutching the marble bar counter, I've seen this before. In field hospitals in Afghanistan. In combat zones where soldiers got dosed with incapacitating agents. Someone just poisoned the CEO. And I'm the only one who recognizes it. Don't call a cab, she mumbles to no one in particular, giggling inappropriately. I have people. Her voice, normally sharp enough to cut through boardroom arguments, now sounds thick and disconnected. Around her, the corporate vultures circle with their cameras, already composing the career-ending social media posts in their heads. I was heading for the exit, ready to escape this whole scene, when she locks eyes with me through the crowd. Her gaze struggles to focus, but somehow finds mine across the chaos. You work in building services, correct? She slurs, pointing an unsteady finger in my direction. That's when I make the decision that changes everything. 20 minutes earlier, I was standing in my cramped bathroom, adjusting the collar of my only decent dress shirt. The fabric still held the military creases I'd learned in the Navy, even though it had been hanging unused for months. David Miller, former Navy corpsman, current building maintenance supervisor, single father trying to make ends meet in an expensive city. At 36, I'd traded my medical training for mop buckets and repair requests, but the instincts never fully disappeared. "Dad, you look nervous," Sophie called from the living room, her 8-year-old voice carrying that mix of wisdom and mischief that constantly amazed me. She appeared in the doorway wearing her favorite purple pajamas covered in cartoon cats, holding a hairbrush like a microphone. "Company parties aren't really my thing, kiddo," I admitted, fumbling with my tie, the navy blue one with silver dots that had been my wife Rebecca's favorite. "I'll show my face for an hour, grab some free food, then come home." Sophie crossed her small arms, giving me that look she'd inherited from her mother, the one that saw right through my excuses. "You never do anything fun. And fixing Mr. Peterson's broken heater doesn't count as socializing." I couldn't argue with that. Since Rebecca died 3 years ago, I'd let my social life evaporate completely. Between work, raising Sophie, and trying to keep our heads above water financially, there hadn't been room for much else. "These people are engineers and executives, sophomore. I'm the guy who unclogs their toilets." She stepped forward and smoothed down my shirt collar with the careful attention she gave her art projects. "That's exactly why you should go. You never know who you might meet." She grabbed my tie from the dresser. "Here. Mom always said you looked handsome in this." The mention of Rebecca hit like it always did, a sudden ache in my chest. But Sophie's earnest expression, her stubborn determination to push me out of my comfort zone, reminded me so much of her mother that I couldn't say no. "1 hour," I conceded, letting her help me with the tie. "Then I'm coming home to you and that pizza we ordered." She grinned triumphantly. "And if they have those little crab things you like, bring some back." "Deal." The corporate headquarters rooftop terrace had been transformed into something from a magazine. String lights created a canopy overhead, portable heaters kept the December chill at bay, and a full bar served top-shelf liquor to employees who normally saw me only when something needed fixing. I stuck to the edges, nursing a soda and watching the social dynamics play out like a nature documentary. The sales team clustered together, loud and boisterous. The engineering department formed their own island of technical jargon. Marketing flitted between groups like social butterflies. And then there was the executive level, untouchable, intimidating, speaking in code about mergers and market positions that went completely over my head. Victoria Sterling moved through the crowd like royalty. Even from a distance, her presence was magnetic. Sharp suit replaced by an elegant dress, but the same commanding energy that made board members straighten their spines when she entered a room. I'd seen her maybe a dozen times in my 4 years here, always in passing, always focused on something more important than the maintenance guy. She had a reputation for being brilliant but ruthless, the kind of leader who could dissect a failing strategy in 2 sentences or inspire a demoralized team with a single speech. Tonight, though, something was different. I first noticed it when she was talking to Robert Nash, the senior vice president who'd been positioning himself as her successor for months. She seemed unsteady, blinking too often, reaching for the bar to support herself. Nash was smiling. Not the polite corporate smile everyone wore at these events, this was something else. Something satisfied. That's when my medical training kicked in. By the time I reached the bar, Victoria's audience has melted away like snow, leaving her isolated and vulnerable. She's gripping the counter with white knuckles, her breathing shallow and rapid. "Miss Sterling." I approach carefully, keeping my voice calm and professional. She squints at me, trying to focus. "You're maintenance, right?" Each word is an effort. "That's right, ma'am. But before that, I was a Navy corpsman. I think someone slipped you something. This isn't alcohol." Her eyes widen slightly, the first sign of real awareness I've seen since this started. "What?" "Your pupils are severely dilated, your coordination is shot, and your speech patterns suggest chemical impairment. Classic signs of being drugged." I keep my voice low, medical and matter-of-fact. "We need to get you somewhere safe. Now." For a moment, she just stares at me. Then, slowly, she nods. I help her slip on her coat, supporting her weight as we move toward the exit. Around us, the party continues, but I catch glimpses of phones still recording, executive whispers, and Nash watching from across the room with that same satisfied expression. "Why are you helping me?" she whispers as we wait for the elevator. "Because someone needs to," I reply. "And because whoever did this is about to find out they picked the wrong target." Instead of taking her to the hospital, which would mean questions, police reports, and media attention that could destroy her reputation, I drive her to my apartment. Sophie is already asleep, curled up on the couch with a blanket and the TV still glowing softly. In my bathroom, I break out the medical kit I've kept from my Navy days. Victoria's symptoms are worsening: nausea, confusion, rapid heartbeat. But I've treated worse in field hospitals with a lot less equipment. "I'm going to give you activated charcoal to help absorb whatever's in your system," I explain, mixing the black powder with water. "It's going to taste awful, but it should help." She drinks it without complaint, trusting me completely despite barely knowing me. Over the next few hours, I monitor her vitals, help her through the worst of it, and gradually watch her color return and her breathing stabilize. Around 3 a.m., sitting in my small kitchen with coffee and the worst behind us, she finally speaks clearly. Someone tried to destroy me tonight. Yeah, they did. And I think I know who. Robert Nash, she says, the name carrying all the weight of betrayal. It has to be. The board review is next week. If footage of me like that had gone viral. He was filming, I confirm. So were others. But we can prove what really happened. Over the next few hours, we build our case. Security footage from the party shows Nash's assistant approaching Victoria's drink. The same cameras catch Nash positioning himself to record her reaction. A discreet blood test confirms GHB in her system. By Monday morning, we have everything we need. The emergency board meeting is called for 10 a.m. sharp. Victoria stands at the head of the polished conference table, every inch the commanding CEO again, while I wait in the corner, invisible maintenance guy turned key witness. Ladies and gentlemen, she begins, her voice cutting through the room like a blade. On Friday night, someone attempted to poison me in order to seize control of this company. The room erupts. Nash, seated halfway down the table, has gone white as paper. I have security footage, medical evidence, and testimony proving that Robert Nash orchestrated this attack. She signals to corporate security. Mr. Nash, you're terminated immediately. Criminal charges will be filed within the hour. As security escorts a sputtering Nash from the room, he locks eyes with me one final time. The look is pure hatred, the rage of a predator whose carefully planned ambush just backfired spectacularly. You should have minded your own business, he hisses as they drag him past. I did, I reply calmly. Protecting people is my business. Later that afternoon, Victoria asks me to stay after the other board members have left. The city skyline stretches out behind her through the floor-to-ceiling windows, and for the first time since I've known her, she looks almost vulnerable. I owe you everything, she says simply. You saved my life, my career, my company. Most people would have filmed it for social media or just walked away. Most people weren't trained to recognize the signs, I reply. And most people don't know what it's like to be written off because of their job title. She nods slowly. I've been reviewing your personnel file. Military medical training, 4 years of exemplary service here, single father raising a daughter. You're wasted in maintenance. I shrug. It pays the bills. What if it could pay them better? She leans forward. Head of corporate security. Full benefits, better hours, salary that reflects your actual qualifications. I need someone I can trust watching my back, and after this weekend, I know exactly who that is. For a moment, I can't speak. The offer is so far beyond what I'd hoped for that it doesn't seem real. I don't know what to say. Say yes. Then go home and tell Sophie she was right about parties changing your life. That night, I walk into our apartment to find Sophie doing homework at the kitchen table, pencils and papers scattered everywhere. She looks up the moment I enter, her face lighting up with curiosity. You're smiling, she observes, like she's documenting a rare scientific phenomenon. Something good happened. I sit down across from her, still trying to process the day's events. Remember how you convinced me to go to that party? Aha. Because you needed to get out more. Well, turns out you were right. I met someone important. And she just offered me a new job. Head of corporate security. Better pay, better hours, full health coverage for both of us. Sophie's pencil drops from her fingers. Dad, that's amazing. She launches herself around the table and into my arms, nearly knocking me over. See? I told you good things happen when you try. I hold her tight, breathing in the smell of her shampoo and feeling something in my chest that I haven't felt since Rebecca died: hope. Real, tangible hope for our future. Yeah, kiddo. You were absolutely right. But it's more than just the job, more than the financial security. For the first time in years, someone saw past the uniform, past the job title, past all the assumptions about who I was supposed to be. Victoria Sterling saw the person underneath, the medic, the protector, the man who would step up when everyone else stepped back. Sometimes the most important moments in your life happen when you're not looking for them. Sometimes helping a stranger changes everything. And sometimes, the person everyone overlooks turns out to be exactly the hero the situation requires. Not all heroes wear suits and carry briefcases. Some wear maintenance uniforms, carry pictures of their kids in their wallets, and save CEOs from corporate assassination attempts on a Friday night, never expecting anything in return except the satisfaction of doing what's right. But every once in a while, doing the right thing gets rewarded in ways you never imagined possible.